The world is full of urban legends, remarkable stories that spread like viruses around the planet, mutating and evolving until no one can remember what is true and what is urban legend. In this episode, called 3 Degrees of Separation, you'll see 3 stories all linked by a gruesome theme: dismemberment. First up, Shannon Wisnant buys a barbecue at an auction, but gets a whole lot more than he bargained for. Then, lovebirds Jeff and Ashley fall into the clutches of a mob of drunken jocks. And finally, Farmer John Thompson relies on his faithful canine friend Tuffy to lend him a life-saving hand. Watch all 3 stories and decide which urban legends are true and which ones are false. Find out if you guessed right at the end of the show. First, it's a story we like to call Barbecue Special. Sometimes the strangest things happen in the most ordinary places, like here in Maiden, North Carolina. This sleepy town is the unlikely setting for the weirdest custody battle in U.S. history. And it's all thanks to this man. Meet Shannon Wisnant. Shannon loves nothing more than driving around in his dune buggy. But to earn gas money, Shannon scours yard sales and auctions for bargains he can make a buck on.
I just buy different things of interest and sell them, and that's how I get by.
Shannon knows he can find treasure in the unlikeliest places.
You might find a porcelain jug that might even still have moonshine in it, you know. And the jug alone might be worth $25,000, and the moonshine inside, priceless.
In September 2007, Shannon visits an auction that will change his life forever, but in a way he never imagined.
96, 95, 99, 95, 95. We got a wall.
One lot in particular catches Shannon's eye.
20 over here.
I bid it on it, and I ended up buying it.
Stop!
He takes his haul home for closer inspection. Among the tools and tennis rackets happens to be a barbecue meat smoker.
The smoker was the last piece unloaded. I unloaded it myself and was dragging it into the warehouse.
But the smoker feels weird. Something is rolling inside. Shannon decides to take a look.
I opened the grill up. Pulled this piece out. It was kind of heavy, but shaped like driftwood, and I didn't have no clue what it might have been and all. And I cut a zip tie off of it and commenced unwrapping layer upon layer to see what was inside. I got it unwrapped good, and I seen what it was. And it was a foot. Got 5 toes, 5 toenails, flesh, meat, and bone. The toes were crinkled up and tight on it, and it reeked. If you open a bag of pork rinds up real good and fresh and just bury your head in it, that's about what it smelled like, except it a lot stronger. And I do not eat pork rinds no more. I decided right then I was going to call the police. They ought to be involved, you know.
The police take the rogue limb into custody and learn from the auctioneers who it belonged to before it was sold off. They track down the original biological owner in Greenville, South Carolina. Meet John Wood.
I got a phone call from the Maiden Police Department that they had my leg.
John's foot was amputated after he was injured in a plane crash. He thought the foot was safe in storage, but didn't realize it had been auctioned after he defaulted on his rental payments. So John drives 100 miles to be reunited with his amputated limb in Maiden.
Came in the world with it and wanted to be cremated with it as a whole person.
But when John arrives, he finds Shannon is cashing in on the foot smoker's story.
There's nothing I won't do for money. I had some T-shirts made, hats made, beanies made.
People are paying to see the empty smoker, but Shannon knows he'll be able to charge top dollar if he can get the foot back.
I decided to sue John for having possession of my property. It's mine. I paid for it. I got the receipt in my pocket.
I couldn't believe it. This guy's suing me for my leg.
But Shannon wants what he's bought and paid for, and so the two men square off in the strangest custody battle in U.S. history.
And the court case starts.
My side of the story. You gave it back to the police. The police gave it back to me.
It was quite the case.
The money I owed.
They didn't know what to do. Nobody's ever sued anybody for a leg before.
You gave it back to the police.
Gentlemen, please.
Setting a new legal precedent, the judge delivers his verdict.
I got the leg, and he didn't have a leg to stand on.
John gets to keep his limb, but Shannon doesn't go away empty-handed either.
I was awarded monetary damages of $5,000 because I guess I wasn't going to get to keep my leg that I bought.
It's not the result Shannon wanted.
I still think I got the short end of the stick when you don't get something that you pay for.
So is this story the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Or are we just pulling your leg? We'll let you know at the end of the show, but before then, take a look at this mini-myth. Mini-myth number 765, Severance Pay. CEO Daryl Stevenson thinks his employees spend too much time yakking on the job. He warns his staff that the next time he catches people idly talking, he'll hand them one of these $2,000 checks as severance pay. So, when Stevenson catches his VP of Human Resources casually joking with another worker, he promptly hands the man one of the checks and fires him on the spot. Stevenson then lays into the VP. Interrupting his boss, the VP explains that the guy he's just fired was actually a job applicant, now $2,000 richer. So, did the CEO really fire somebody who didn't work for him and hand them a payoff check? Is this story true or false? It's false. We'd all like to see this one happen, but this myth has been around since the 1920s and often features brand name CEOs. On Urban Legends, we show you 3 stories. You have to decide which ones really happened and which ones are merely legends. So far, you've seen the tale of Shannon Wisnett, who found a human foot in a meat smoker and then sued the limb's biological owner for custody. But is it fact or fantasy? Find out at the end of the show. Now it's time for our next story. It's called Movie Mayhem. The industrial city of Hamilton, Ontario is a place where men are men. They make steel and drive pickup trucks. It's a place where people who drive small cars stick out like sore thumbs. Meet medical student Jeff Crawley and his girlfriend, Ashley Enright.
I met Ashley at a New Year's party, I think 3.5 years ago.
And we've been inseparable ever since.
This happy couple love nothing more than to settle down together in front of a good film. But for them, one trip to the movies would turn into a real horror flick. In June 2005, Jeff decides to take Ashley on a special date for their first anniversary.
I'd always seen this old drive-in movie theater. I thought it'd be cool if I took her there and we watched one of our favorite movies together.
And it was really romantic because it was just the two of us.
The drive-in hasn't played a movie in years, but Jeff has brought the movie to the drive-in.
I brought her the DVD player, she laughed, she thought it was so great.
And he brought my favorite movie, which was really cool.
And then I said, just one more thing. I brought her a box of popcorn. She loves popcorn.
It's shaping up to be the perfect date.
We started watching the movie and things got a little more romantic, I guess.
But the lovebirds' special evening is about to take a turn for the worse.
We saw these bright headlights turn into the drive-in. First I thought nothing of it. I thought maybe people were turning around, making a U-turn, they were lost. There was about 6 or 7 guys in a pickup truck.
They're really drunk, rowdy. You can tell they've been drinking.
By the time I thought that we should leave, it was too late. They blocked us. That's when things started to get a little scary.
So they started shaking the car. And so I was screaming at Jeff, can we just leave?
And they started lifting the car up, which was terrifying. Felt like my heart was in my throat.
Jeff finally decides to get the jocks off the car.
So I started, revving up the gas and make them scared or something. They dropped the car, and we sped off.
Shaken, the lovebirds seek shelter at a nearby gas station. Jeff's worried that the jocks have damaged his precious car.
And I got out of the car, and I turned around to the back, and I noticed something was dripping. I thought, oh no, they broke something. As I got closer, I realized it wasn't oil or gas or anything. It was red, and that's when I realized it was blood.
The sight that greets Jeff is straight out of a horror movie.
4 fingers were hanging off the back of my bumper, just hanging there, and they were dripping blood.
While the jocks were lifting Jeff's car, the ringleader got his hand caught in the bumper. So when the car hit the ground at full throttle, his fingers were torn clean off. Back at the gas station, Jeff puts the jock's severed fingers on ice.
I said, you know what, let's take them to the hospital.
But before they can set off for the hospital, on-call Jeff gets a message from his employer.
It said, get to work immediately.
After dropping Ashley at home, Jeff heads to the local hospital to hand over the fingers. Now Jeff can finally get to work. He's a surgical intern at the very same hospital.
So I walked over thinking what could possibly have gone wrong, that they had called me in.
Jeff's demanding surgeon mentor has given him an urgent case to treat.
I recognized the guy. It was one of the guys that was lifting up the car off the ground. Of all hospitals for him to come to, he came to the one that I was interning at.
So, does this story grab you as true, or is it just a fistful of lies? Find out at the end of the show, but before that, check out this mini-myth. Mini-myth number 441, Moscow Wire. In 1972, several Canadian diplomats check into a Moscow hotel. They search their room for wiretaps and discover a suspicious lump hidden under a rug. The lump is attached to the floor, but by cutting a bunch of wires, the diplomats remove it and throw it out of the window, thinking they've successfully debugged their room. Suddenly, there's an angry knock at the door. It's hotel security, who tells the diplomats that removing the so-called bug actually caused an antique chandelier to crash down into the ballroom below. So, did the chandelier really perform a Sputnik splashdown? Is it true or false?
Get the door, eh?
It's false. This lump under the rug myth is also told featuring hockey players, cheerleaders, and honeymoon couples. All of them are untrue. On Urban Legends, we show you 3 incredible stories. Your mission is to sort the totally true from the fantastically false. So far, you've seen the tale of Shannon Wisnant, who found a foot in a barbecue and turned it into a moneymaker. And the story of Jeff and Ashley, who escaped from a bunch of drunken jocks, taking some of their tormentors' fingers with them. But which ones are real and which ones are false? All will be revealed at the end of the show. In the meantime, watch our final story. We've named it A Boy and His Dog. Herdsfield, North Dakota, is a small farming community nestled in the rolling fields of America's breadbasket. All the farmers here know that dogs are a man's best friend. But something gruesome happened in Herdsfield that put the age-old bond between human and canine to the ultimate test. Meet farmer John Thompson and his faithful dog, Tuffy.
Tuffy was the best friend I had in high school, pretty much, and he was also a working cattle dog.
On a clear, crisp morning in 1992, 18-year-old John is given chores to get done out in the fields.
I got up that morning and my parents had left for Bismarck to visit my cousin in the hospital. and my dad told me I had to unload the grain truck into the bin. Then I put the tractor against the auger, just unloading the feed out of the truck.
The grain auger is powered by a shaft coming out the back of the tractor. The spinning shaft is one of the most dangerous pieces of farm equipment.
And usually there's a safety shield around it. Unfortunately, ours didn't have that.
But John continues to work around the unguarded tractor shaft.
My shirt wasn't tucked in, and I stepped too close to the shaft, and my shirt got caught in it, pulled me in. Then I spun around the shaft a few times, and I hit the ground, and I was knocked unconscious. I finally came to because my dog Tuffy was licking my face, trying to wake me up. I knew something was wrong with my right arm because it felt kind of funny. And I went to look at it, but I couldn't see my right arm anywhere. Then I looked over at the left arm, and then I noticed my left arm was missing. So I just had the big bloody stump. And then I stood up, and then it dawned on me what had actually just happened to me.
Both of John's arms have been ripped right off.
And I figured I got to go to the house and get some help.
His house and the nearest telephone are 300 long feet away.
The only thing I was really thinking of was my dog. And he just stared at me the whole time like, keep going, you're going to get there. If Tuffy wouldn't have been there, I would never got to the house.
But John's problems have only just begun. The house is all closed up.
We had sliding doors and tried to open that.
Pushing with his chest doesn't open the door, so John tries the unthinkable.
I had a bone sticking on my left shoulder.
His painful plan doesn't work.
So then I went to the garage, but the main door had a doorknob on it, and I didn't have the hands to turn it. So I just dropped to my knees and bit it with my mouth and turned it with my head to get in.
Meanwhile, Tuffy follows his nose back to the accident scene. There's blood, bone, and tissue everywhere, a tempting sight for a hungry working dog. Back at the farmhouse, John finally reaches the salvation of the home phone. But the rotary dial is worthless to someone with no fingers. He heads for the phone in his father's office. Now John has to work out how he's going to actually dial the phone.
And I tried dialing with my nose numerous times. It just wasn't working very well, so I grabbed a pencil with my teeth. And then I called my cousin. And it never once dawned on me to call the ambulance myself. And then she called the ambulance.
When the ambulance reaches the farm, paramedic Rick Flatten is given a gruesome task, finding John's arms.
The one arm was laying right underneath the power takeoff shaft. But my second arm, he couldn't find it anywhere. And then my dog started barking at him. My dog was standing over my other arm.
Fearing the dog has been chowing down on John's dismembered arm, Rick approaches Tuffy. As he gets closer, Rick sees the truth. Tuffy has been guarding his master's missing limb, preventing any other animal from eating it. Rick heads back to the farmhouse with both arms and is just in time to load John into the ambulance. Later, John's arms were successfully reattached, and it's all thanks to his loyal canine friend, Tuffy. So, is that a gripping true tale, or did you think it was disarmingly deceitful? You don't have to hold on much longer to find out. All will be revealed after this final mini-myth. Mini-myth number 32, kitty separation anxiety. Florida resident Kelly Levy is frantic. Her 10-month-old kitten is missing. She turns her house upside down trying to find it, even calling her father to help rip out tiles to get at a small crawl space. But there's no sign of the creature. Her missing kitten story hits the airwaves, and local news programs are calling her. A few days later, she answers the phone on her way out the door. It's a man calling from Fort Worth, 4 states away. He has her cat. It turns out he picked up a piece of luggage belonging to her husband back at the airport in Texas. And when he opened it, the kitten popped out. Is this feline fiasco for real? Or is it a tall tale? It's true. The cat traveled 1,300 miles back to its owner on an $80 plane ticket. It's time to reveal the truth about our 3 incredible stories. First up, it's the tale of 2 lovebirds who escaped from a gang of rowdy jocks, only to find the ringleader's fingers still attached to their rear bumper. But did this story grab you as true or false?
This story is false. If it had been me, I probably would have thrown away the fingers.
This urban legend can be traced back to the 1960s. Various versions feature young couples fleeing from angry hitchhikers and biker gangs. If you got that one wrong, perhaps you got a better feel for the story of Shannon Wisnant, the man who found an amputated leg in a secondhand barbecue. But did you buy it?
I'm Shannon Wisnant. I am the foot man. I am the man what bought a smoker with an amputated foot in it.
This story is absolutely true. How could you make this up?
Although he no longer has the real limb, Shannon Wisnant is still known as the Footman. Which leaves the story of farmer John Thompson, who had his arms ripped off by farm equipment, only for his trusty dog Tuffy to stand guard over them until help arrived. But is it fact or fiction?
My name is John Thompson, and this is a true story.
This story of canine devotion is amazingly true. The spinning shaft tore off John's arms and threw one of them 80 feet away. But Tuffy protected the arms so well, doctors were able to reattach them both. That's the end of our episode, called 3 Degrees of Separation. Were you able to split the tellingly true from the fictitiously false? Don't worry if you couldn't. You'll get another chance to separate fact from fiction in the next installment of Urban Legends.